Money is often seen as a way to make life more comfortable. A nicer home, a better car, more convenience in daily routines. On the surface, that feels natural. Money feels useful when it becomes something visible, something tangible, something that improves how life looks and feels. But over time, many people begin to notice something quietly unsettling. As comfort increases, time often seems to disappear. Days feel fuller, schedules feel tighter. Life feels busy, even when it looks successful from the outside. There are meetings to attend, responsibilities to manage, details to remember. Some people, sometimes living more simply, appear calmer. They are not rushed. They are not constantly managing. They move through life with more space. The difference is not about taste. It is not about luxury versus minimalism. And it is not about denying pleasure. It is about what money is truly being exchanged for. At a deeper level, wealth is not about owning more things. It is about owning more time. Money can buy objects, but it can also buy relief from effort. It can reduce the number of decisions you must make, the amount of stress you must carry, the hours you must trade simply to keep life running. Many people use money to upgrade their lifestyle. Wealthy thinking uses money to reduce time pressure. This shift is quiet, but powerful. Once it is seen, it changes how purchases feel. Not immediately, but gradually. Let's explore this through a few simple ideas. Things consume time. Time, once lost, does not return. Every object you own requires attention, not immediately, but eventually. It must be cleaned, maintained, insured, repaired, replaced. One purchase becomes a small responsibility. Many purchases become a system that needs constant care. A larger home means more space to manage, more rooms to clean, more things to organize. A more complex life means more coordination, schedules to align, problems to solve. None of this is wrong, but it has a cost. A modern example is easy to recognize. Someone buys a more expensive car. Not just the price, but the upkeep increases. Appointments, paperwork, insurance considerations, unexpected repairs. Another person keeps a simpler car and uses the difference to reduce working hours or build financial buffers. One owns a better object. The other owns calmer mornings. Here is another example. Someone fills their home with items meant to improve comfort. Over time, they spend weekends organizing, fixing, and managing. Their free time becomes maintenance time. Another person chooses fewer possessions and uses the saved time for rest, reading, or quiet activities. One feels surrounded by things. The other feels surrounded by space. The reflective insight is simple. If an object requires your time to justify its existence, it is quietly spending your life. Time pressure is more expensive than most people realize. Many people earn enough to live comfortably, yet feel constantly rushed. They wake up tired. They hurry through meals. They postpone rest. They live in a state of mild urgency that never fully disappears. This is not because they lack discipline. It is because their financial structure leaves no room. Wealthy thinking notices this early. It asks a different question before spending. Will this make my life simpler or more demanding? Consider a modern situation. Someone upgrades their lifestyle as income rises. They commit to higher fixed costs, a larger mortgage, higher monthly payments, more obligations that cannot be paused. Now, every month requires a certain level of output. There is no pause button. Another person resists expanding fixed expenses. They keep flexibility. They allow income increases to create breathing room instead of pressure. Over time, one feels trapped by their own success. The other feels supported by their restraint. Here is a second perspective. One person fills their calendar because their finances demand constant motion. They cannot afford to slow down. Another leaves open space because their structure allows it. One experiences time as pressure. The other experiences time as a resource. The insight here is quiet but important. When money reduces time pressure, it creates peace. When it increases pressure, it creates obligation. Wealthy people use money to reduce dependence on effort. Effort is not bad. Work is not the problem. But constant effort as the only support system is fragile. Energy changes. Health changes. Life changes. If everything depends on your continued output, there is little room for error. Buying time means creating structures that continue without constant attention. A modern example might involve work itself. One person trades time for money in the most direct way possible. When they stop working, everything stops. Another person builds small systems alongside their work. Nothing dramatic, nothing fast, just gradual independence. Dividends, royalties, automated processes, shared ownership. Nothing removes work entirely, but something reduces dependence. Here is another example. A professional saves enough to take breaks between projects. Not long breaks, just enough to breathe. Another cannot stop even briefly without stress. One works by choice, the other works by necessity. The reflective insight is calm. When effort becomes optional instead of mandatory, time expands. Convenience can either save time or steal it. Not all convenience is equal. Some convenience simplifies life. Other convenience creates long-term complexity. Outsourcing tasks that drain energy can be a form of buying time. But overspending on convenience without structure often leads to financial pressure, which steals time later. A common example is subscription culture. Small monthly payments feel harmless, but over time they add up. Each one requires ongoing income. Each one reduces flexibility. One person accumulates many subscriptions without reflection. Another periodically simplifies. The first feels constantly busy paying for convenience. The second feels lighter, with fewer obligations. Here is another quiet example. One person constantly upgrades devices to save small amounts of time. Another designs their days more intentionally. One chases efficiency. The other builds calm. The insight here is subtle. True convenience reduces future effort, not just present discomfort. Wealthy thinking prioritizes control over display. Things are visible. Time is invisible. Social signals reward what can be seen. Cars, homes, travel. But control over time does not announce itself. It shows up quietly. The ability to leave early, to decline an opportunity, to rest without anxiety. Two people earn similar incomes. One feels pressure to demonstrate success. They spend to match expectations. The other spends privately, strategically, and calmly. Years later, one looks impressive. The other feels free. Here is another contrast. One person measures success by what others can see. Another measures success by how they feel on a quiet morning. The reflective insight is gentle. Time freedom does not compete in status games. It exits them. Buying time is often about buying margin. Margin means space. Space in your calendar. Space in your finances. Space in your thinking. Many people live without margin. Every dollar is assigned. Every hour is scheduled. Every decision feels urgent. Wealthy thinking gradually creates margin, not by excess, but by alignment. A simple example is emergency savings. One person sees savings as idle money. Another sees it as time stored in advance. When something unexpected happens, one panics. The other pauses. Another example appears in decision-making. One person must decide quickly because there is no room. Another can wait because margin exists. The insight here is clear. Margin turns problems into choices. Time is the only asset that cannot be multiplied. Money can grow. Skills can improve. Systems can scale. Time only moves in one direction. Once this is understood, priorities shift naturally. Spending decisions become quieter, less emotional, more intentional. A modern example appears in how people plan their days. One fills every moment with activity. Another leaves space. One equates busyness with importance. The other values clarity. Another example appears in rest. One treats rest as a reward earned after exhaustion. Another treats rest as a foundation. The reflective insight is simple. When time is valued, life slows down, not in speed, but in pressure. Money is not meant to remove joy from life. It is meant to remove unnecessary weight. Buying time does not mean avoiding responsibility. It means choosing responsibility wisely. It means designing life so that effort is meaningful, not exhausting. You do not need to change everything. You do not need to live extremely. You do not need to reject comfort. You only need to notice the quiet exchange beneath every purchase. What is this costing me in time? What is it giving me back? When money is used to buy space, life becomes calmer. Not because there is less to do, but because there is more room to breathe. Take a moment with that idea. It does not rush you. It waits. And once you see it, you begin to notice it everywhere.